Welcome to Mellow the 13th, your monthly horror book club. My name is Megan. I am an artist and a writer, and this is Mel.
I'm on holidays. I'm not doing anything right now.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay, that works. And we read this month Sign Here by Claudia Lux. Mel, what do you think of the book?
I think I'm very easily pleased, and I like pretty much everything. I didn't like this book. The main character's name is Peyote Trip. One of the second main characters' names is Calamity Ganon, literally like from Legend of Zelda. And that was a very bad first impression, to be honest. The story wasn't the worst. I didn't like it.
See, and those things didn't bother me as much because I went into this knowing that it was a dark comedy thriller. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm prepared for stupid shit to happen. So I wasn't as fussed about the whole name thing. I wasn't fussed about any of that because I knew what I was getting into.
That it was a comedy.
Yes.
But my problem with that is, other than having stupid names, which I personally didn't find funny anyway, it wasn't funny.
I feel also this is another one of those times where it's very interesting going into it with Mel having physically read the book and me listening to an audiobook, because the actual audiobook was fantastic. Like very well audioed, and like the characters had a lot of like flavor and characterization from the way that the audiobook was presented.
Yeah, personality.
Yeah, it was really good to help you. Like this, I feel almost doesn't benefit well from being a book, because if you had to sit down and just read that without the narrator to read that out to you, I feel like it would have given a very different experience. However, having said that, I really enjoyed the setup, the premise, and the general idea of the book. I didn't like how it played out because I had gone into it being like, okay, dark comedy thriller. Yes, I'm probably not going to find most of these jokes funny because I don't generally find dark comedy funny. But I was like, look, I'm just here for... Like, thrillers generally have an absolutely absurd twist in the middle that just doesn't make any sense. And it's usually very dramatic and very strange. And I was like, okay, cool. This mix is going to be really fun and really interesting. And I don't think it went hard enough.
Peyote's chapters are written with, like, I did this and I did that. Like, that one's first person, isn't it? I can never quite remember.
Mm-hmm.
And then every other chapter for every other character is in third person. And I do get that Peyote is, like, mostly the narrator. But it made me a little bit insane. Like, when I first noticed that they were switching from first to third, it was like, but it has the title of, like, it's like, this is Mickey's chapter. So why isn't it from Mickey's point of view? What is from Mickey's point of view? It's just an I. Like, it doesn't matter, and it does make sense. But I didn't like that shift.
Lily, in the chapters in the beginning when she's talking about her affair, I did not like her in the slightest. I mean, I still don't really like her.
No.
But it was very clear that she had a very distinct voice. So even though it was third person, first person, I was still going, okay, this is a point of view that I feel there's a very clear distinction between.
Yeah. Oh no, I definitely felt that too. I felt like the characters were definitely written with different personalities. They weren't like all the same, but it did drive me a little bit insane. If we're changing POV, why are we also changing from first to third? So there is like a bit of the chapter where they explain that like they come to hell and they erase their like original personalities and they get given a stupid name. Just call them A, B, and C. Like, what does it, they're not offended by the fact that their names are really stupid. They know that they're kind of stupid, but they're like, hell is terrible even for the people that work there. Like, you're constantly stepping in puddles that are, like, deeper than you expect and your pants get wet. Like, you can't get drunk unless you don't want to get drunk. Like,
every drink is Jägermeister.
Everything is Jäger unless somehow it's...
You like the bartender.
Unless it's beer, but where is the bartender getting, like, labeled brand beer? Not that he's, like, brewing beer himself. It's a different brand of beer. Like, there are things in hell that are mostly just, like, inconvenient and stuff like that.
You have to use 10 pens before you find one that works.
Yeah, and like their names are part of that, but they actually don't seem to be bothered by that at all. The only time anybody is bothered by the fact that they have a name that's not their name is when they're given a third name that's not their name that they didn't like. I don't know. I just thought it was genuinely completely irrelevant. They could have had any other name.
Yeah, but also, then why does it matter the name that they were given?
Because it annoyed me personally. If their name had something to do with, like, the way they died or something, which, to be honest, I thought it was going to have something to do with that at the beginning.
I do like that. That's fun.
But that wasn't it. It was just a stupid name.
But what's wrong with having a stupid name?
Because not everybody has a stupid name. The bartender's name is, like, Jack.
Maybe he's jacked up. Who knows?
I don't know.
Maybe he gave himself his own name because he didn't like his name.
If you were allowed to do that, then why would anybody go by fucking peyote trip?
So if you haven't read the book, again, this will be going directly into spoilers for what the book is about. If you haven't read the book, we'll be going through it, so you will be spoiled if you haven't read the book. If you have, you can just follow along with us as we talk through the plot. But essentially, we had touched on it a little bit. Essentially, the whole premise of the book is that Peyote Trip, our main character, he works in a corporate building in hell where essentially they are tasked with signing people up for devil deals, essentially. Yeah. You make a deal, sell your soul to get what you want, and then eventually you end up in hell kind of fulfilling the same cycle.
Sometimes pretty much immediately.
Yeah.
Because they're devils and they'll fucking trick you.
Yes. So it's very much the, like Faustian bargain type deal, which is fun. And then you essentially end up assigned to different roles. Like, for example, Peyote often talks about the fact that he was first assigned to, like, the kind of lower levels of hell where they, like, process the people that come in.
So you start, it goes, they don't explain all of them, but downstairs, they call it, is, like, the lowest level of hell. And then they never talk about level 1. They talk about level 2 for a little bit, which is where Peyote started, which is where you do just general hellish torture. And then I don't think they talk about 3 or 4, but they're currently living and working on level 5, and level 6 is, like, the highest you can get to of, like, the least hellish place for a demon to be.
But yes, so Peyote works for the deals department. He is responsible for signing up deals. Now, there is a bit of a, like, competition type thing where it's not really a competition, but essentially if you can sign up 5 members of your own family line, you can end up redoing your life, essentially. Because time is wibbly wobbly in this setup. So essentially, you enter into time travel zone where you can enter any time in history and make these deals with people. Essentially, you just receive a little notification on your little tablet that goes...
like somebody wants to make a deal. Somebody's having a real bad day, and you just go to wherever that is.
But you can set yourself up to kind of try to aim for people in your family line. However, the proviso with that is that when you enter hell, you start to forget who you are because you've been here for millennia or however long you've been here for. And so you start to forget who you are. Peyote worked downstairs. He worked with a guy called Slippery Pete. Slippery Pete, essentially, he went in, he did his job, he didn't talk, and then he went back to sleep and did nothing. And then one night on the, like, conveyor belt of people coming in, he then goes to process someone who has just come in and he recognizes them. So Peyote kind of covers for him and just means that he doesn't get in trouble. So Slippery Pete chooses to decide to tell Peyote that if you manage to get 5 members of your family to sign up to deals, you will then get a restart at life. And that's what he essentially wants to do. So he's like, don't forget who you are. Just focus on one thing about yourself, and that can be anything, but just focus on one thing and always remember to... Yeah, like always remember to remember that. So the Harrison family has Silas, who is the father of the family. Then there's Lily. There is also a son and a daughter, Sean and Mickey. Lily's chapter opens up with essentially she is cheating on her husband with a guy called Gavin because she doesn't like her husband. But there is a little bit of a family tragedy that went on in this family. Silas had an older brother called Philip, and Philip was accused of murdering his, like, friend and then was put in prison, and he hanged himself to not be in prison anymore. It's one of those things where they, like, don't talk about it, but they talk about it. And the kids know about it, but they don't know everything. Silas kind of refuses to talk about it, and Lily doesn't really bring it up either. But Mickey makes a new friend called Ruth, and then the family is planning to go on this big, secret, super fun family holiday where they go to a cabin in the woods by the beach.
There's
woods and beach.
It's a fancy cabin. Like, they're talking about the fact that when they were kids, they used to bring like bunches of friends there. There are like many, many rooms. It's like it's a rich person cabin.
Silas invites Ruth. Ruth gets her parents to call up and say, hey, we're cool with this. And Ruth goes with the family to go to this cabin for holiday.
Hell.
Peyote meets Calamity Ganon in Hell, who is someone who has come up to the 5th floor recently, shortened to Cal. She is kind of acting as this like demure, nervous, like kind of like little bit skittish kind of person.
Weirdly innocent for someone that lives in hell.
Yeah, because you had to do something to get here. Either you sold yourself for something or you did something bad. Like, there has to be a reason that you're here.
And she reveals that she started in like the pits of hell. She was in the bottom. So she did something really, really shitty, probably multiple times, to get herself to start in the lowest, worstest level of hell.
And she would have also had to do horrible things to people to get to here. There is also a co-worker of Peyote's called Trey, who is essentially, he's really great at his job, but he kind of sucks as an individual. He is very obnoxious and very self-assured is the best way to put that. He has just recently secured a fifth in the line for not his family line. So, because he doesn't know about that.
5 of them.
Yeah.
So he's actually very, very good at his job. But they do also point out that he's not doing like hard things. He goes and gets people really super drunk and is like, hey, want to sell me your soul? Which I feel like is a very demon thing to do.
And in the corporate capitalist hellscape that is literally in hell, they love that. They think that's great because it means that they get more souls. Trey, Cal, and Peyote get put together and they get kind of sent on this like little team experience. But before they do that, they're like, let's do a little bonding experience. And Trey's like, let's all go get drunk. That sounds like a great idea. Yes. But this is where also essentially Trey is trying to he's trying to show off his techniques, which is essentially, just getting people drunk. And we eventually find out throughout all of this that Cal is not quite the innocent kind of person that we thought that she was. She has actually been putting on this act the whole time. And that kind of pisses Peyote off because he's like, you kind of are like deceiving me. So like, should I trust you? Should I not? And she's like, no, I think you're pretty all right. But I just really want to, not be stuck here doing this forever. So I want to, get up and do the things that I can do. Like, look where you are, essentially. You should have expected something like that. There is their manager, who is KQ, who in my brain is a little goblin. I don't know why that's like that, but the way that the character is voiced in the audiobook makes him sound like a little goblin, and I think that's fun.
When we get to the end, I have a list of quotes of lines from this book that I thought were pretentious, and I think we can end on that instead of me throwing them in.
Okay. I mean, but I've still got way more to talk about. We're just getting through the plot right now.
I would like to do just one, because Peyote also was doing torture in hell at the beginning, and he's observing the fact that Cal is blushing, which he does think is kind of weird, given that, she's in hell. Why are things still making her blush? Like, she would have seen so much worse. But the line was, once you've seen the insides of so many bodies, it's hard to think of blushing as anything other than the presence of blood. Her face looked bloody to me. I'm like, bullshit. That is not what you think when you see someone blush, even if you understand that their face is filling with blood. That's not how that goes. That's not a thought that anyone has had ever, human or demon. That's stupid.
Peyote and Cal team up to basically embarrass Trey, and so they do that by undermining him to KQ, who is their manager.
They gaslight the absolute shit out of him, and it's fantastic.
It is actually very funny, because essentially Trey comes in being like, oh, Cal got so drunk last night. She was so much fun. Oh, my God. And Cal's trying to keep up this persona of being, like, very shy and timid and whatever.
Yeah, and he's like, and Peyote got, like, so drunk and had to leave and go home early. And they're like, actually, you fell asleep on the couch and we had to put you to sleep. It was kind of cute, actually. You just fell asleep and slept so peacefully.
Yeah.
He's like, that's not what happened. It's not what happened. That's not what happened.
But yeah, because they both team up, it's quite a comedic exchange. But for some reason, it seems to be enough that so KQ decides that Peyote will mentor Cal and also provides him with access to the 6th floor in order to do that. The 6th floor provides them with the option of the looking glass, which is something essentially where they can see they can get records on just about anything. And with this, Peyote is provided with Cal's personnel file, or he gets access to Cal's personnel file and learns a little bit about her. She essentially was a part of a cult when she was alive, which is when Mel messaged me yesterday and went, actually, I think I didn't mind this. And I was like, is it the cult?
That's not true.
And so they were essentially training soldiers to battle in hell, and they were instructed not to drink the water of hell, being that it would make you forget who you are and what you're doing. That's essentially the crux of it. And then Cal then basically she gets separated from this guy during her trips, and then she goes to where she is told where she will find
at the age of
more people.
10. She gets separated from her father at the age of 10.
No, I think it's 12.
No, it's 10. She has 4 foster parents by the age of 12.
Oh,
and the 4th one, she kills her. Because she's set this 12-year-old child up to have awful things done to her for money.
Yes.
So she kills that woman. Very well deserved.
Yes.
There's actually a note in, like, a line in the book being like, if that was the last thing that she did, and then she moved on to have a normal life, she wouldn't have gone to hell, because they would have gone, hey, that's kind of justified.
Yeah.
Which I liked.
Yeah, it was very fun.
But yeah, poor baby, completely brainwashed by the age of 10. So even at 12, when she managed to escape the foster system, she goes to look for more members of this cult.
She eventually goes to this location where she's told that they will find more soldiers. And they're all like, I don't know who the hell you're talking about. And so she puts a grenade through the school that's there and dies. And also kills multiple people there.
No, that's not where she dies.
Is it not?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No.
Well, she kills a lot of people.
She does. She kills a lot of people who are a cult but don't really deserve to die, because they're not the violent version of the cult. That was just her dad's version of the teachings.
And then we jump back to the Harrisons. It's all just getting a little bit dramatic over there. Silas is realizing that Ruth reminds him a lot of Sarah, who was the girl that Philip killed. It's like, this is where the weird comments start coming in. Like, it's like talking about like how pretty she is and like,
she's got like these long legs. It's like she's 15.
Yeah.
Like the way that her hair sways over her shoulders. It's like, no. Don't be reminded of a girl that you knew when you were a teenager that you were hooking up with, it turns out later. Like, don't think about teenagers that way. There's even a scene where he is talking, like, he's thinking about his daughter Mickey and how similar she is to, like, she's basically a clone of her mother from when they met. And that wasn't as creepy as the way he thinks about Ruth, but it was kind of creepy, and my notes in it are like, is this pedo bullshit? Like,
well, yeah, like
what is happening here?
It was worded very strangely because, again, like I mentioned, we had already established that it's a dark comedy, but this definitely wasn't funny.
It wasn't written
There was no
humorously.
comedic thing here.
No, they weren't even aiming for humor. It was just weird.
And you could have done that in a better way. Like, you didn't have to be that weird about it, but they chose to be weird about it. And it was even to the point of like, you know, like it's not that weird to be reminded of someone that you knew, seeing them in teenage form. Like that's not that weird. Mickey and Ruth are getting along. Mickey is wildly crushing on Ruth massively. It seems like Sean is a little bit too, but in a way of like he doesn't normally talk to anyone. But this is from Mickey's perspective,
He's
right?
very, very introverted, and that is like a plot point, that he's coming out of his shell and he's getting along and he's making friends.
But I do think also that's a little bit, because those chapters are from Mickey's point of view, I did get the impression that she thought, yes, he is introverted, don't get me wrong with that, but she has this kind of thought that he basically doesn't like her and doesn't want anything to do with her, but he very clearly cares about his sister.
Yeah.
But she just doesn't seem to see it as much. Like he's interested in like spending time with her and whatever, but she's like, oh no, he doesn't want to see me. He doesn't want anything to do with me. But then he's very clearly wanting to spend time with her.
Well, they have the chapters written from Lily's point of view as well, where it's like he's always in his room and he never wants to talk to me and he's always wearing headphones and stuff like that. He is a teenage boy. But they also have early on, when Peyote is talking about like who's going to be the fifth member of the Harrison family that he takes the soul from, they're like, Sean is very introverted and he watches dungeon porn, which I think they were trying to set him up as being even more of a weirdo than they managed to do later. And I was like, okay, cool. Great.
I must have been asleep for that part. I did not remember that. So Lily drops essentially that she is starting to have doubts about her relationship because she's been fucking someone else for who knows how long, and that she's basically planning on eventually leaving him and going and instead being with this Gavin person. And she also comes to the realization that on the night that Sarah died, Silas hadn't been in the bed with her. She went out looking for Silas and found Sarah.
And Philip.
Sorry. Yeah. Philip was over the top of her. And because they think that he like hit her, like physically hit her. And so he found them together.
She had bruises on her chest. And you know what? The moment they were like, and there were bruises on her chest, like he was punching her in the chest, I was like, oh, he didn't kill her. He was doing CPR and she was drunk and stupid.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh God, oh no.
But, you know, like, again, if we're going with thriller mentality, we're all here for this, right? Like, it's going to be stupid, it's going to be silly, it's going to be fun.
You shouldn't see the twist coming from that far away.
No, but the point is you see the twist, but then the twist actually ends up being something so fucking wacky and weird that it ends up being interesting. I agree. That's the problem. Mickey decides to tell Ruth about Sarah and Philip because it's kind of this not talked about thing. Ruth seems to have picked up on some stuff along the way that kind of suggests that she kind of is getting something clear of what's going on. And so Ruth, in normal things that normal teenagers do, probably is actually pretty normal, decides to do a seance.
Oh yeah, I tried to do that when I was like 14.
And it does, like the book does suggest it gets a little bit creepy, a little bit spooky, a little bit of things happening. But Silas does discover what they're doing, gets really, really pissed off about it. And basically shuts it all down.
He gets really, really angry at Mickey, and she's like, it's the only time he's ever yelled at me, like the only time I've ever felt that he was angry at me in a way that he might not get over it. Because he is a pretty good dad. He says some creepy shit in his brain, in his point of view, but he doesn't do anything creepy, and he never does anything creepy. I wasn't convinced he wasn't going to do anything creepy at this point, though.
No. Very much, genuinely, when I had recommended this book, shortly after that I got to these sections, and I was like, I should really learn more about this. But I was like, look, if nothing happens, I won't mention it, because then I feel like you'll discount it.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, oh no, I've been warned about this, and it won't feel as bad. I wanted more of a genuine experience. But if something had happened, I would have been like, no, don't.
By the way.
I tried to explain to Mel, I was like, look, like, I just want to stress that, like, this book is not, like, it's a dark comedy again. And they tend to cover a lot of different topics, but only for short amounts of time. It's really hard to prepare someone for what happens in the book because there's so much in it. Like, I looked at the list that someone had provided and I was like, this is like 20 things long. And most of this is on the page for like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Cal and Peyote finally use the looking glass. They're wanting to use this in order to set up what their next like deal is going to be. They have essentially got basically someone on the hook, someone on the line, but they need information on someone that they're looking for. And so they're like, okay, cool, we got access to this looking glass. We'll go get that information from there. And so that we can fulfill this deal and get a bunch of people's souls.
They get 15 souls if they get this. Well, if they can fulfill their side of the bargain. Because the bargain, you can bargain with the devils. You can be like, I would like Megan to win an Oscar. I would like not to die until after Megan has won this Oscar. But if you just go, I would like Megan to win an Oscar. If you don't add in like a caveat, something terrible can happen to you before that happen, like before the thing can be fulfilled, and you will never actually see your wish fulfilled, but it will be fulfilled.
Peyote instead decides that he's going to use the looking glass in order to get what he needs, and that's his own memories, or essentially like who he was. Like he remembers his name, he knows obviously who his family is, but he doesn't know who he is.
Yeah.
And so the machine works really slowly, it loads really like slowly, and it prints out really slowly because it's hell. So they only get like 5 minutes with this machine. And he's like, it's fine, I'll print this out first and then I'll do this. And instead of explaining anything to Cal, he just fucking does it. And so Cal is like, what are you doing? What is taking so long?
He very unconvincingly is kind of like, oh, I pressed the wrong button. She's like, you're a fucking idiot and I don't believe you.
Yeah. So he does get what he needs, but he isn't able to fulfill the request of what they needed for the 15 souls. So Cal is pissed.
They get like, they narrow it down to, you know when you're watching a crime show and they're like, we're triangulating his mobile phone and we've got it within 3 towers and we could have got it within 1 if we had like 15 more seconds. They narrow him down to, he's in like North Carolina, I think it is.
Something like that.
A state. He's in like a whole state's area, and that's as close as they can get.
So then Cal dobs in Peyote to KQ, because technically they could just get an additional pass to do it, but that was what the 5 minutes was for, and it can't possibly be that easy. So Cal dobs KQ in being like, Peyote fucked up, I need help. And so Trade comes on the scene in order to be the help, and it's very silly.
He has an extra special power because he's done 5 groups of 5. He can read minds. So that's what they need him for.
So they bring them there to ask some leading questions to get them to think about who this person is so that they can find out where they are, essentially, so that they can complete the deal. So then during this, Peyote is like, what the fuck, Cal? And then they go to meet up to go talk about that.
I thought we were friends.
Yeah. And he learns through this. He arrives at her apartment. She's either having a shower at the time or like she's having a shower when he arrives or something. I'm unsure how the shower came into it.
I think she says, I'm going to go have a shower because she fell in one of the deep
the puddles. Yeah, the hell puddles. And it ended up being one that was over her head or something. So she's like full submerged. And he finds out that she hasn't actually been drinking any of the water in hell, as per what her backstory had said about how the general, he had advised them not to drink the water. She hasn't been drinking the water, and then this caused this kind of like blistering to happen all over her because she hasn't been drinking the water. She then also hasn't lost her memories, so she's fucking fully aware of everything that's going on. Peyote learns that by not drinking the water, you then don't lose your memories. Sick, hunky-dory, great time.
It's a bit too late for him. He's already lost his memories.
Yeah, he's already well and truly gone. But now he has the printout. And I should also mention at this point too, Cal is the one who has kept this printout. Cal is keeping it. This is why Peyote is trying very desperately to get back on Cal's good side, because Cal has this and won't give it back to him. Lily also, we go back to her. She is really struggling with the fact that she keeps getting these text messages from Gavin being like, oh my God, I miss you. Oh my God, if only we could be together.
He knows
blah, blah, blah,
that she's away with her family for 6 weeks, is it?
Something ridiculous.
It's
like the summer.
It's like, the long holidays. It's like 6 weeks while the kids aren't in school. And originally in the beginning of the book, he's like, I could come with you. Like, I could stay at like a motel near where you are, and we could get together and we could, keep fucking. And she's like, no, as much as I love you, this is my time with my family, and that would be so dangerous. That is a terrible idea. And it's established they have like code words and stuff, so no one is ever supposed to send a message that's just like, hey baby, what's up? Like, it's all, if she wants him to call her, she has like a message that I can't remember what it was, but it's like, I don't know.
They're meant to speak in code so that if anyone was to read the messages, then no one is going to get suspicious.
It was something like, can I book you to trim the trees or something. It was something that was really like obviously not going to be misinterpreted or interpreted as, this is my affair partner.
But Silas finds out anyway.
Because Gavin has started sending messages that he wasn't supposed to.
And I think even she sends the first message, though, where she's like, I don't care, I love you, kind of thing. Like,
I think she said that on the phone.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because she sends the code message.
And he responds back differently, like, I wish you were here or something like that. But yeah, as Silas then reads her phone because she's been really missing him and she blah, 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 blah. And Silas reads her phone, realizes that she's in a relationship and is most upset about the fact that Gavin is Sarah's twin brother. Lily is fully aware that Gavin is Sarah's twin brother.
Yes.
She knows this going into it. She actually reconnected with him because of that, in a way, because they saw each other many years later. She was very apologetic for like what had happened.
She's been going to like a grief group that he runs.
Because he's lost his sister. So she ends up going with him as like support. But that's the thing Silas is most pissed about. Not like that she's having an affair. It's with Sarah's twin brother. Because, and I did say this before, Silas had been sleeping with Sarah. Which we don't know at this point.
But it is also revealed kind of a little bit earlier but around this time, that Lily got pregnant at like 17. So their whole life, they started dating when they were 16. She's pregnant by 17 and they like get married and their whole life is at that time like immediately set in stone. And this is another thing that I had in my notes about like they're constantly obsessing about teenage bodies. But this is a little bit different because Lily had been taught kind of by her mother that this is what your currency is. You need to lock down this like rich man before he has the chance to like experience anything else. You are young, you are pretty, you've got like a perfect body, which at 16 it's like, gross, mum.
Yeah, fun.
Like, this is your currency. You are worth your beauty. And as her and Silas kind of drift apart as they get older, part of it is she's like, well, I'm not young and beautiful anymore. But like Gavin treats me that way.
But also it's very clear that like the text is trying to tell you that she is disordered about this. Like, it's not that she's not a beautiful person. It's not that she is old and ugly or whatever, but that she had, like, it talks about how she had disordered eating and she just has this very bad self-image of herself.
They talk about her, like, crash dieting and going to the gym all the time to try and maintain this version of herself that you just never maintain as you get older. Like, you can be older and beautiful, but you're never going to be the same kind of beautiful as you are when you're 16 because you've grown up, you're not a teenager anymore. But that's what she wants to keep.
The thing that we all need to hear that is very healing to all of us is we should not have our teenage bodies. Like, I have a lot of sympathy for her. I just really don't like that she cheats on her husband, even though her husband kind of sucks in this case. But not the point.
Yeah. No, I felt I didn't like her by the end of the story, but I kind of like understood where she's coming from.
Yeah, I was very sympathetic to her. She was a good mum. She like had a lot of things like going on mentally that I could relate with, but I just really hated that she cheated on her husband.
Yeah. And like she feels guilt about it, but not enough to stop. And it's like, I think that's worse than not feeling guilty about it.
But very much in a, this is satisfying me feeling hot and sexy, rather than it being something that is like, I've fallen out of love with my husband. This is something we've, like, I don't know, it just, the cheating is not sympathetic. I can't relate to that at all. So things are amping up in Cal's life because Cal still has all of her memories. She manages...
let's go back a bit. You were like, that's a wild sentence. When I was like, I can have sympathy for a murderer, but I can't have sympathy for a cheater.
Oh, right. Yep.
Specifically, like in this book, I felt so bad for Cal. You go through her backstory and absolutely none of it is good. Not a single bit of it. So I don't remember exactly what it is that prompts him to read more of her story, but he finds out that when she was essentially born into the cult, her dad, well, there's actually a lot of teen pregnancy in this book, because her dad was like 16 when he got her mother pregnant, and they mentioned that she's a year younger, so she's 15 at this time. So she's 15 and pregnant. They're in a cult. They're not supposed to be sleeping together. So the cult beats the shit out of both of them. He escapes with his badly beaten pregnant teenage girlfriend. She survives. They have the baby. She abandons him and Cal when she's 3 years old. And they say in here that he looks at the baby and she puts her arms out to him because she's 3 years old, and that's what three-year-olds do, and like wants affection, and he picks her up and he hugs her for the first time in her life.
Yeah, fucked up.
So she's 3 years old, and up until that point, like, no wonder this woman left. I don't know why she didn't take the baby, but no wonder this woman left. She's not even a woman. If the kid is 3 and she was pregnant at 15.
Yeah.
Whatever. That's horrific to think about. She leaves, and he's like, she can't go back to the cult, obviously, so hopefully she went back to her family. But 3 years old, and this is the first time he's held this child, and all of the emotional labor and looking after the child before that has landed on this woman, and this is the first time he's had to take care of his kid, and she's 3.
Yeah.
And then he goes around being awful.
So Cal has gone on, or has managed to find the location of the general, being her dad. And she's
not a coach of a basketball team.
Not a coach of a basketball
Baseball
team.
Whatever it was.
Turns out, through like all of Trey's like mind reading and everything like that, they head to, or Peyote heads to follow Cal because Cal still has the printout of,
and has purposely ditched him.
Yes. And has also gone, you will never see this again, ha 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 ha, and then run off. So he goes to follow her, and is like, it seems like he's kind of also trying to be like, you'll regret this, blah, blah, blah. I don't think she will. However, she arrives there. She's going to run in and be like, I'm going to kill the general. They do find proof of what he had done also.
Videotapes? It's videotapes.
It is apparently a cash box, supposedly, according to my notes.
There's also videotapes.
Because the key was around his neck, and there were film reels of fights among the child soldiers and a ledger proving the general profited from their violence.
Yeah. And not even that much. They don't say exactly what the time period is. I think they did. I think it's the 70s. They've got the evidence. They've got the proof. They find out that, like, one of the kids that died, because these were, like, fights to the death. One of the kids that died, someone had paid, like, $25 to watch. And she's like, really? This kid was, like, 13. $13? No, $25 to watch a 13-year-old die. Like,
yeah.
Did they charge more or less the younger they are? Like, what the fuck? Because she didn't know that this was a paying thing. She knew that, obviously, there were fights happening and that people were dying. But she didn't know that people were paying to watch.
So, yeah, essentially, she's been spending this whole time working her way up from the very bottom of hell in order to get to this point where she is being face-to-face with him and is still finding out about all the horrible things that he's done. So you're fully on her side. When she starts choking him, you're like, have fun.
He tells
oh yeah
Cal, like, trust me, don't do this, come with me, if we can arrange this, then I can fix
everything,
like, literally everything, for you, for me, it'll be great, neither of us will be in hell, blah blah blah, trust me. And she's like, okay, fine.
Here's this thing that I was always going to give you anyway. Let's go do this.
Oh, yeah, that's right. She gives him the paper that has his backstory in it. And he's like, very much like a scene where someone's got, like, their college letter and they're like, I can't read it. You have to tell me what it says. And he finds out that he didn't do anything awful to end up in hell. He sold his soul and ended up in hell to save his
daughter,
very young daughter who was diagnosed with cancer. He did, it seems, fuck it up because he didn't do the wording correctly. He didn't sell his soul and live his life with his kid and then die of old age. Like I was saying, you can put in caveats to your soul selling. He was just like, save my daughter, and the demon was like, hee, you
Doesn't
have the
mean save
cancer
you.
now.
Yeah.
And he dies very shortly after.
Yes. Because there's this whole kind of, the deal with him seems to be like, he's a good guy, but he's in hell.
He has he's like, there are no morals and values in hell, but he very clearly
has morals and values.
Morals and values that he's just kind of discounting as a personal code, not of ethics, for the way that he wants things to do. So he's not he's not doing as well in the rankings of devil people as he could be, because he's not taking those easy cases of people that are just having one bad day. Well, he does actually do it one time. But he doesn't really want to take the cases of people who are just having one bad day where everything could turn out fine.
Yeah.
And he would prefer to go for people that are already doing a bad thing who are going to deserve to be in hell anyway.
Yeah,
even though they're not worth as much.
He helps out a bank robber who has a bunch of people caught up and stuff. He's very much only aiming for people that would technically want to do the bad thing.
It's complicated and strange, but you are definitely supposed to get the impression through this that he is as good of a devil as you can be. But they do give examples where he's like, but I am a devil, where there's a girl who's like, I will do anything to get into the college that I want. And it says he knows that in her letter she actually did get into the college, but she sells her soul to go to college because she offered it and he's a devil, even though she would have got in if he'd ignored her and she'd just opened the letter, she would have got in anyway.
Peyote sees on his tablet that Mickey is face up in the water, and he's like, what the fuck? Face down, sorry. Face up? No, just
face up,
sitting there chilling.
She's floating.
But sees that she's in the water, she's drowning, she's in the lake.
Yeah.
So, oh my God, what the fuck has happened? So we jump back to the Harrisons and what is going on at their party. And essentially, their holiday.
Yeah, it's a party.
So what has happened is Gavin has come to the house. So remember, Silas is pissed off that, I keep going to call her Sarah, that Lily is dating Gavin and is in love with him. And so Gavin ends up coming to the house, and we find out that we obviously already knew that Gavin is Sarah's twin brother, but that Ruth is also his daughter. And he has planned this whole thing to make Silas's life hell because he has Philip's suicide note.
Surprise! They thought he didn't have one. Also, it is a thread that's run through this book of absent fathers, with the exception of Silas. Cal's dad is gone. Ruth's dad is gone. She talks about it. She's like, he left when I was really young. She was really young. And she said she went and she found him when she was 9 and he didn't want anything to do with her. She has this weird thing with Silas as well, where she's like, he's a good dad. Maybe he could be like my dad. And she's a bit weird about it. But Lily's father also wasn't around. She was raised by a single mother. And it's this thread the whole way through of shitty absent fathers.
But I think also that's meant to be what makes Peyote seem like the extra good guy, because he was the father that sacrificed everything for his daughter. So having all of these daughters around who have shitty fathers, it's meant to be the mirror. It's intentional. It's not just I've accidentally made everyone's dad suck. It's it seems like it's meant to be the point. We find out, also in all of this, Ruth did end up drugging Mickey and brought her to the lake so that she would die like Sarah did, because they find out from, not Gavin's letter, they find out from Philip's letter that essentially what had happened was Silas was sleeping with Sarah, which this is where it's revealed to everyone. Even if they had discussed it earlier, this is where it's revealed to everyone that Silas was dating Sarah. And it's very much discussed, I think even from, this might have been, at one point it's in his point of view, where he explains that, like, basically, I'm looking to mess around right now. I'm not looking to get into a relationship. I have this relationship with Lily, but I also have this relationship with Sarah. But then, so Lily has just announced to Silas that she is pregnant.
Whilst completely trashed and drunk.
Yeah, completely trashed, drunk, goes, oh my God, I'm pregnant. How great's that? And then falls asleep. And then Silas goes out to speak with Sarah, because he's like, okay, well, I've got to cut this off. So he goes out to go and speak with her. They have a little meetup. They end up having way too much fun. They mix pills and alcohol together.
Yeah.
As like a having fun kind of thing.
Sarah has already done that.
Oh, right.
Because she does have a drug habit. She's known for having a drug habit.
Mm-hmm.
And she's been taking, like, her mother's oxy pills.
Mm.
And then she's been drinking as well. So she's already fucked up when Silas gets there. He tells her that he's breaking up with her, that Lily is pregnant, and she's like, what the actual fuck? Last time we talked about this, you were breaking up with Lily for me, and now we're doing the other way around. Why can't you just make her have, like, an abortion? You're too young for this. You have choices. You should be able to make your own decisions. And he's like, this is my own decision. And she's like, no, I don't think it is. And she starts screaming at him. And they're in the middle of the lake in the middle of the night. And he doesn't want anybody to know that they're out there. She's been lying down. She's sat up a little bit. He has overused his strength to get his hand and put it over her mouth. And as he's done that, he's kind of slammed her head into the float. But
enough to concuss her.
And then left her in the middle of a lake, high on pills, drunk.
It was hard enough to concuss her. I know that he uses the excuse that he was also drunk, so, like, he wasn't fully aware of, like, what his strength was. But, like, he then, also left her behind.
I also don't think this author knows how hard you have to hit someone to concuss them.
So she dies. Well, she drowns. And then Philip finds her later because he is obsessed with her. He loves her. He thinks she's great.
Her out and she said no.
Yeah, he asked her out. She said no. And he's like, look, like, you know, that really sucks, but, like, okay, I get it. And then, but he still, you know, is generally aware of where she is. And he's also aware of Silas also wanting to be in a relationship with her and also being with her.
Yeah.
He just likes her anyway.
At this point in time, it's revealed in his suicide note that while they're having this argument, he's watching.
Mm.
So Silas leaves her on the float in the middle of the thing. He watches Silas leave and he sees Sarah fall into the water.
Mm.
And he knows, I don't think he knows she's unconscious at the time, but she falls into the water and he watches for a bit and she doesn't come back out. So he goes into the water and pulls her out to try and save her, which is unfortunately about the time where Lily shows up.
Yes. So he's trying to resuscitate her. Lily then sees him over the top of her. I feel like it's not that fucking hard to tell when someone's doing CPR. Honestly.
This is the same thing as, like, he slammed her head back 3 inches and it gave her a concussion. That's that far. You're not going to see someone doing chest compressions and go, this is punching. It's not that,
but
like, it's not the same motion.
If they're trying to get around that because Lily was also drunk still at this point. So, like, maybe it's that. And then you do have the evidence also that she had a giant fucking head wound and she had which she would have from chest compressions. But
yeah, she was bruised and she had broken ribs.
I also don't know that it explicitly said it, but I did also get the impression that to some degree she knew what was going on. So this was the better option because her family, they talk about the family, how they also mentioned to her that essentially this is better for all of us that this has happened because you're pregnant and you're going to have a child and rah, 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 rah. Like, where it's kind of seems like everyone seems to be kind of in on this in some weird way. Not impression. Explicitly, but that's what I had taken from that because they mentioned that, she'd spoken with his family once after all of this had happened and essentially it was brought up like good that it wasn't him kind of thing or that it didn't work out to be too bad.
Because they say, like, do whatever you have to do. The family doesn't say don't tell them, don't testify, all of that, which is kind of like what I would expect a rich family to do. Be like, hey, cover for our other kid. But they do mention as well that if it couldn't, like Philip says in his letter, if it couldn't all be blamed on him, then his family would be slightly liable because they had like a bunch of drunk teenagers on their property. I'm like, that's a little bit insane. I don't think that's how that works.
Yeah, I don't also think, like, I think he was 19 at this point.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think a 19-year-old's thinking that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Philip's basically gone, yep, self-sacrifice, I'm out. Peace. But look, I just wanted you to know that, I don't know, just so that he could tell the truth at the end.
That doesn't make sense. Also, because he's like, yes, I'm willing to make this sacrifice. I am willing to go down for my brother. I don't want him to get in trouble. I'm willing to, like, go to prison and then also die to save his reputation. However, I'm also going to write a letter that fully incriminates him, that if this guy, who was also at the time, if Sarah was like 17 and they're twins, Gavin is also 17. How did he know that Gavin wasn't going to just turn it into the police? He's literally killed himself to keep his brother safe, and he's given all the evidence needed to not necessarily send his brother to jail, because it would be technically just manslaughter.
I would imagine he'd want to justify that, hey, I didn't kill her because I didn't like her. I actually liked her a lot. Yeah. And I wanted her to be alive. Yeah. Like, I can see a world where that makes sense. I don't think the text necessarily made that clear, but I can see how that would make sense.
I can see how it made sense to Philip. I don't understand how it made sense to Gavin to instead do this whole fucked up, very many year using your teenage daughter as bait and asking her to murder someone for you.
Yeah, in the same way.
Gavin, we didn't mention this, I don't think, had told Lily about this, had been like, I never loved you. I did this all, like, to
just
fuck with your husband. And then tied her up and maybe tried to drown her? Yeah, I don't know. It's just very convoluted.
It is very convoluted, but not in a fun way. I wish it had been a little bit more fun.
Yeah.
And because, like, that's what I like about thrillers, is that they generally have just some whack-ass fucking twist that just makes it all wild and weird and very dramatic and very silly. Yeah. Whereas I didn't feel dramatic and silly from this. I was like, oh, this is just kind of what you've been leading to.
And it didn't feel like a comedy either. Like, being very generous, you could call it like a comedy of errors, but that's not a comedy.
It wasn't like someone had made a mistake and that had ended in someone dying, but in like a funny way. Like, there would have been a way to do that, I feel. It almost just felt like the dark comedy aspect was just an excuse for them to be obscene sometimes. Yeah. This is a little bit confusing, but this is essentially how it happens. Peyote and Cal get to Earth in this time frame. They revive Mickey, bring her back to... Well, they don't necessarily bring her back, but they revive her at least, and she's A-okay, right? There's this whole scene where, in the same way that it had been very strange when they'd been dealing with any of the child characters, Peyote explains that, like, I've spent all this time looking after this person through the screen and kind of watching what they're doing and whatnot, that I've, like, grown to love this person, right? It is their family member, technically, like great-great-great-grandchild or whatever. It's not weird per se, but you're just kind of like, wow, that came out of nowhere. Like, you haven't established that you felt this way at any point until you see them drowning in a lake. I don't know. It just
in the beginning of this book, he was talking about how, like, he didn't think Silas or Lily were going to want to make a deal with him, and he was going to either take Sean or Mickey to hell. And he was totally fine with it at that point in time. He had absolutely no qualms about, like, sending Mickey to hell. She was 14.
Yeah. But the thing is, though, right? So what ends up happening, Ruth decides that she doesn't want to do this, essentially. She's like, look, I really didn't want to have done this anyway. I think these are a nice family. Like, I know that something fucked up has happened, but, like, I don't want to be here. And she shouldn't have needed to be. But Gavin is like, no, you have to do this.
You're a disappointment.
Lily is holding a gun. There had been a gun established from earlier.
Nobody knows that she's there. She's got the gun pointed at Gavin, but she hasn't shot because everybody else is all around her. She also has no idea where Mickey is.
Yes. So in all of this too, they don't know where Mickey is. She then hears Mickey ask for mum. This is an important part of the thing because it's very confusing. We were trying to work this out right at the beginning. She hears Mickey say mum, and then she shoots Gavin because she knows where Mickey is now. She doesn't give a shit. He's dead, right? Technically, Ruth ends up finishing the job. But then Mickey has died. So in the time that it took for Peyote to revive her, she gets back to, like, the side of the beach, or the lake, sorry.
Yeah.
And she calls out for her mum. Peyote then arrives, technically, like, in this moment because Silas has called for him.
So Silas has been like, hey, the family legend that there is they seem to think that there's a devil that specifically services their family, which is a very rich person attitude to have. So Silas makes a deal to bring Mickey back, and with that wish, deal, whatever. They're basically devil genies.
Pretty much.
Peyote gets his 5th deal from his own bloodline, so he gets to go back to his original life, and he keeps all of his memories of this. I don't know if they're really supposed to, but I guess it makes sense that they keep their memories so that they don't make the exact same deal again, which would be very funny and honestly very in line with their version of hell. At this point in time, we abandon this version of the family because they are not going to exist once this happens. And
like, technically, yeah, I was explaining just before the camera came back on.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, essentially that, so he's gone back in time to the instance of time where he technically would have died. Like, as
made
in just
the deal
shortly
where he
after
died.
that, yeah. So technically, the family won't exist in the future because he will have changed something. Like, they could still exist, but they won't exist in exactly the same way.
Yes. So if he never tells anybody that he made a deal with the devil, which he must have, for them to all be like, there's a devil that we can make a deal with.
Yeah, like someone must have at some point mentioned that is something to say. But he then finds oh my god, what's her name? Cal.
This is how he's promised to make everything better.
Yes.
They talk briefly with Cal's father to be like, hey, were you ever in this state at the same time where I was alive? And they find out that there is a point in time where Cal is running around the same state, and he's going to save her.
Yeah, so he runs into her on the side of the road, wandering around. He shows her a little necklace that she would be able to recognize. And basically,
it's one of their cult symbols.
Yeah, basically he plans to raise her alongside his daughter. It's showing the cycle again will likely continue. But
He's still going to hell.
He did get to save Cal from what would have happened in her future when she got to the farm, and that would have all happened.
Yeah.
And she doesn't need to die in the way that she did. So, it's a kind of cute ending. So I had gone into this being like thriller, right? Like, the thriller aspect of it really intrigued me because I have recently been reading a lot of more thrillers. And I really like how they just put some whack-ass twist in it that's usually really fun. I knew that they were setting up that you were meant to think that Peyote was going to be Philip.
Yeah.
Right? I do feel that they did intentionally make you think that. And I liked that, even as a thought. I thought the extra added twist was going to be, and this was way early in the piece, before we realized that Cal actually had like a story and stuff and whatnot. Way, way, way early. I was like, what if it's not Philip? It's Silas. And then it ends up being Cal is Sarah, and they end up like getting angry at each other and stuff because they like realize what's happened or whatever. And I was like, that would be really fun and cathartic and very like, I feel like more to the comedy roots of what I was promised with the book, that it would have been just so stupid and silly and fun. But then when it didn't, and it was kind of went to like this, oh, we're just trying to be good people kind of theme, I was like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it would have been way more interesting because also you could have then gone a little bit harder on Silas intentionally killing Sarah.
Yeah.
And then that being a whole conflict for the story. And because it's all timey-wimey bullshit, he's like witnessing it all happening. And I was like, that's really interesting. But yeah, then it didn't do that.
Eh?
At least they did go for something that was so far removed from what was happening that they still managed to tie it together.
Yeah.
So, like, I did still like the ending.
Yes.
I just was hoping for something a little bit more silly and fun.
Yeah.
Not quite so serious.
Same, because you told me that it was a comedy, and I was like, cool, we haven't really done comedies before. And then I didn't really find any of it funny. I think it was just a little deliberately, like, edgy. Like, it was trying to be something instead of just being what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Because there were bits that I was just like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like the Felix, the animal, made of very many other animals. And all of a sudden they're being like, at one point, like blowjob jokes.
Yeah.
Like, why is that in there? I personally think that if you're in hell, you should have your genitals removed. I think nobody should be able to have any kind of sex, even if it's like everything in hell is kind of unsatisfying, so nobody would be having any kind of like great sex. I don't think you should be able to do it at all.
Maybe the trade-off is you do still have your genitals, but they're always flat. So
They don't work.
they don't work anymore.
Done. I think that's better than the weird sex jokes. Because wouldn't it have been funnier if they were going to a strip club in hell that no one could enjoy?
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Like, but that's not
Genuinely.
what it was.
No.
It was just a normal strip club in hell. I don't hate plot holes. I feel like they're gonna happen unless you have 10 people going over every single line of your book and like sitting there with flowcharts and shit like that. I don't mind them. But this one, and I would have forgiven this one as well if I had any fucking idea why Mickey was standing there speaking 1 second and then on the floor dead the next.
But also specifically on the floor dead with too much liquid in their lungs to breathe, but yet you could still say mum.
Yeah, and I do understand how drowning works. It doesn't always happen immediately. You can dry drown. You can like swallow a little bit of water and it catches up to you later. But she was dead in the water when Cal and Peyote got there.
Yeah.
Pulled her out, brought her back really badly, apparently. Maybe they just sucked out just a little bit of liquid and left the rest in there. I don't know. But they make like a deal about the fact, or not a deal, like a deal, like a deal about the fact that you're not supposed to really make physical contact with your like targets and stuff like that. So it's a big deal that he touched her and he like kissed her on the side of her face and she came back. That seems like a magical thing. Why didn't that stick for longer than 20 seconds?
It could have been better if it had explicitly been a bit more like the letter in the letterbox, like the college acceptance thing, where he technically already revived her, but she's come back looking dead. And in that moment, he chose to sacrifice himself, not knowing that she was actually already still alive. Like, I think that would have been fun.
Genuinely, yeah.
But that wasn't if that was the intention, that was not made clear enough.
This is the 5th one. This is the one that Peyote needs so that he can erase everything and get everything that he wants. And so he lets Silas think that his daughter is dead to make the deal, even though she wasn't. That would have been perfect.
And also then, too, like, it just gives him more involvement in the story than just being the person who swoops in and Deus Ex Machina the situation.
Yeah.
Where he just runs in and he's like, God's going to solve everything. Like, it just would have been fun to have a little bit more of those dynamics. The next book that we'll be reading is A Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. I will get Mel to read as many quotes as she can before this camera turns off.
She had freckles across her nose, like someone blew all the punctuation off the page of a book. And then I wrote, but none of the actual words? Fuck you, this is stupid. The moon hung heavy as an udder. I didn't like that.
If you have a description like that is going to take your reader out of the story to have to try to work out what the fuck they mean, you probably need to take that out.
Why is the moon cow tits?
Why is the moon cow tits? Do you know what is also really funny? Is the fact that they're like, oh yeah, every drink needs to be Jägermeister, yet they only had Jägermeister once. The rest of it, they were like, oh, but we can get our stuff from this other supplier.
It's very important that all the alcohol in hell is Jaeger, and it's so hard to get anything else. This one guy has beer. At one point in time, Cal has a 6-pack of beer in her fridge at her house.